When you have cats and dogs and children in your life, it is really hard
Can be a lot.
to get your life together and make dinner every night, right? So we are making an easy weeknight dinner recipe. Executive producer Joseph is with me now.
Good morning, MT.
With one of your go-tos.
Every time I make this, I'm like, we got to do this on the show sometime because it is so fast to make and delicious, in my opinion.
Okay.
I just made it last night.
I love this, but it does use a controversial ingredient, Spam.
It's a little polarizing, and I would like us to talk about this magical ingredient, Spam. I'm using the low...
Magical?
I think it's magical. I'm using the low sodium version, but you know, it gets a bad rap, and I don't really understand why, because it's like, do you like bacon? Do you like bologna?
Okay, I just want to see. I don't know that we all know what Spam is. Is it just pressed ham?
Spiced ham.
Pressed spiced ham. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So we're going to demystify it right now.
All right, let's demystify it. I don't hate Spam. I just always wondered what it is. It's just pressed ham. I don't see anything wrong with it.
So it's kind of gross when you take it out, but there you go. So for this, how I do it
I think my cats might be jumping on the counter if I opened that.
So I just slice it up. You want to slice it into kind of manageable bite-sized chunks.
Okay.
Because that makes it easier to eat in a fried rice.
Yeah.
There you go. And then I just kind of do this.
And it's easy to cut. I mean,
it's very easy, even with this kind of knife that you have had some feelings about on our show.
I have a question, and maybe you have out there too. I'm going to share this with everyone. I love split pea soup, and so it calls for ham squares.
Sure.
Would you use Spam in your split pea soup?
Maybe. I mean,
why not, right?
I like to fry my Spam up, though. I don't like to eat it like this. I like to have it be nice and brown, which I'm going to show you in just a second.
Okay, and we are browning the Spam.
But look at how fast this was to cut. I mean, boom, diced.
Boom, diced. Okay, so you dice up the Spam.
Yep, so there's that. So there's not a lot of chopping in this recipe. It's the Spam and the scallion.
Okay.
So you take your green onions. I like to do it kind of at a bias because I just think that is more...
Oh, it looks fancier.
Is more exciting.
I agree with that. I just recently started doing that after a chef we had on the show did that, and I thought, wow, I should do it all that time with that. Because it makes it look more interesting. It does add texture to your food.
Yeah. And
okay.
It's also visually interesting, and you know, we all eat with our eyes.
It's such a good point.
So...
All right, so we cut up the scallions.
Yep, so just do that. I mean, that's it. That's all the chopping for this recipe. It's not very much.
I love it. So we already have the Spam browning right now. Is that when you would add the scallions?
Well, hold on. So
okay, I'm gonna hold on. You just tell me.
Let's talk about this. So this took me about 10-15 minutes to
brown them to your... That's a long time.
You want it nice and crispy. So what I like to do is I like to mix up the whites and the greens of the scallion and add about half in, just because it adds a different kind of layer of flavor.
Okay.
So kind of just get that in there, get that going.
Is this a medium heat? Because 10 to 15 minutes seems like a long time.
You want to just wait till it gets crispy and brown.
Okay,
so it just depends on your stove. You know, everyone's stove is different. Like this stove here is different than my gas stove at home.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, so then that is going. So then let's talk about the rice. So this is obviously just white rice I made in a rice cooker, but Tyler made it actually. But anyways.
Thanks, Ty.
You need to use old rice for this because you want the kernels, the grains of rice to be like kind of old and separated.
Okay, so rice that I've made a couple weeks ago. No. Not weeks ago, like a couple days ago.
A couple days. Let's go
Weeks
with
could be,
days.
Actually, that could be very dangerous. Please don't do that. Mold could grow. And
so you want it to be kind of,
All right, so something I made for another recipe, but I have it. Okay, all right.
And we're going to have this recipe on the website, but for ingredient amounts, it really just depends how many people you're trying to feed and how strong you like the flavor. So for rice, how much rice do you want to eat? That's kind of how much you add in. So. And
so how many servings can a full can of Spam
I would say probably
yield?
Probably, well, it depends how much you eat. I'd say 2 to 3.
Okay, that makes sense.
Let's add a little more.
And then maybe a little left over for lunch tomorrow.
Yeah.
I really like this meal because you've also added, like the thing about it is you and I have food issues.
Oh my gosh, do we? We have the exact same food issues, which I think is really interesting.
Yes, we're not celiac, but we don't like gluten. We've got, it almost could be IBS. Maybe that's television.
Yeah.
That's showbiz, baby. Yep. You get IBS.
But also soy.
Also soy irritates
And let me tell you,
us.
as a Japanese person, having a soy out issue is not very fun, but I'm living with it, so it's fine.
Right, so the one thing about that is there are alternatives like coconut aminos. It's just something that you add to this recipe as well.
That's why I love this recipe, because it's really easy to customize and change, and it can be easy to digest. depending on if you have any food issues, or if you don't, that's also, you know, you can just do whatever, but that's why I like it. So you want to kind of spread out the kernels.
Okay, so you've mixed it, now what do you add?
Okay, so we're gonna let that brown for a little bit. So I like to do the dry ingredients first.
Okay.
So we're gonna start with a little bit of garlic.
Okay.
And like I said, just use as much as you want. It depends on how strong you like the flavor, but I kind of do something kind of like that.
Yeah, I like that. I like a good strong flavor.
And then this is a really key ingredient, the white pepper.
Why is white pepper different than
It's a little more fruity. It's
okay.
just a different flavor. Have you ever had it before?
I mean, I'm sure I have.
Yeah. So I don't do a ton, just a little bit.
Just a little bit, okay.
Yep. So kind of let those flavors mingle. I like to give it a mix again.
Okay.
So you can smell the white pepper, right?
I can. It does come out.
It has a different kind of flavor, you know?
Okay.
So you want to let the rice fry, because you know the name.
Yeah, yeah. And so is that why you can't add the liquids like right away, because you really need to get it to get crispy first?
Well, yeah, and I like to let the spices kind of bloom or whatever a little bit. So,
yeah.
So then let's move to our liquids. So I'm using 4 different things here. Scrambled eggs for both of us is kind of a problem.
Yes, it just, I don't know, something about the enzymes when they mix.
It's the protein. So I'm going to use egg whites.
Okay.
I've got coconut aminos, which is the soy sauce replacement, but obviously you could use soy sauce. Then I've got toasted sesame oil and fish sauce.
Okay. Fish sauce I don't love a lot of.
Yes,
so
no, you only want to use a little bit.
Okay, got it.
We're just going to do a little bit of a splash of that.
Okay.
Just a little splash.
Okay. Listen to that sizzle.
Yep, and then a little sesame oil. This goes a long way.
Okay. I do love sesame oil. I love the smell and taste of that.
And then the coconut aminos, which is for color.
And coconut aminos are great. Now you can, they used to be pretty hard to find. Now you can find it anywhere.
Any grocery store will have it.
I buy mine at Trader Joe's. They have a pretty good one, a little bit sweeter than most, but very good.
Yep, so then you want to mix this up. Make sure the color gets nice and evenly distributed. And then you add your eggs.
Okay.
So give it a shake. And I just, again, with amounts, I just eyeball it. Because
so you just pour it right in there?
Yep, just like that.
Oh, cool. I love this because you know what? I love fried rice, but every time I feel like it does get me a little, stomachy.
This is a very food allergy friendly.
Oh, I'm so delighted.
Recipe. And you know what? We're basically done.
And now we're basically done. Well, I'm going to quickly try this.
You want to let these,
Okay, so this was...
on top of that, I added some Kewpie mayo and some sriracha.
Oh, okay.
So we're just going to let this cook
All right,
up.
let's try this. That was really good.
Yeah.
That's so easy.
I know, this took like, what, 5 minutes?
That is so good.
I know, right?
I think the Kewpie mustard mayo is a must.
Yes.
All right.
So there you go.
That is delicious.
I mean, that was fast, right? This is lunch.
So easy. This is lunch for New Day Northwest, by the way. Thank you so much for making lunch.
Yes, you're welcome.